Welcome back, fellow movers. Today will be all about handstands again. I recently posted a video about what form cues you should be prioritizing in the beginning of your handstand journey, and I introduced a figure with different priority levels. After getting comfortable upside down, learning to headstand, to fall, to do wall-assisted handstands, I concluded that the most important thing is learning to use your hands. So I decided to follow this up with a video to introduce some drills and tips to help you guys, learn to use your hands. First, let's take a look at our hands and see how we're supposed to use them to help us balance a handstand. Now, the first thing we want to learn is preventing to fall over our hands. So in order to prevent falling this way, we need to push our fingers hard into the ground in order to create momentum this way. Now, this is the exact same thing we're doing with our feet in order to prevent falling forwards. We push our toes into the ground to create momentum so that we regain balance. In order to prevent falling the other way, backwards, we want to push our hand heels into the ground. The hand heel is the lower part of our palm, and we do this sort of like if we're falling backwards from standing. We push our heels into the ground in order to regain balance. This part is perhaps the most difficult part of handstand balancing, and I consider this more of an intermediate topic, so I will cover this in a separate video by itself. Now let's look at some drills we can use to learn this finger squeeze technique in order to balance our handstand. The easiest way of grasping the concept of using our fingers to balance a handstand is by squatting down, placing our hands in the ground and squeezing our fingers and feel that we are pushing our body backwards. This is the exact same thing we're doing in a handstand. Now, taking this further, we can try and enter sort of like a crow position where we put our knees outside our elbows, we bend our elbows and lean forward, squeeze with our hands and try to lift up our toes. And we can push back using our fingers just to sort of feel how we're manipulating our center of gravity by pushing with our fingers. So you can just rock back and forth from standing, or you can actually try and balance the position and try and emphasize using your hands and feeling sort of what happens when you're doing this and that with your hands. How you're sort of rocking back and forth, doing these crow rocks, so to say. Now, this crow position, we have a very low center of gravity, meaning it's much easier to balance. In a handstand, it will be much harder, but the concept is the exact same. Now, we obviously want to introduce these concepts to our handstand, starting with a wall-assisted handstand. And I guess it's quite obvious that you can use a handstand to help you learn how to balance. But I want you to be more conscious than just entering a handstand and trying to balance. I want you to isolate the technique and really focus on the tiny details. So instead of trying to use your feet to get out from the wall when you're trying to balance a handstand, I want you to mindfully use your hands to push yourself out from the wall. And this can be done either in a wall-assisted handstand facing the wall or back against the wall. The same thing applies. You use your hands to push yourself out from the wall and use your hands to push yourself into the wall again. So in addition to doing these wall push out and wall push ins, you can obviously also practice to balance continuously by, for example, entering the handstand, using your feet to get out from the wall. But I want you to pay particular attention to what you're doing with your hands, and this should be the main focus of the drill, using your hands to balance. In my app, The Movement Tribe, while the Handstand 1 program is specifically for getting comfortable upside down, learning to fall, learning to do wall-assisted handstand and gaining the strength and awareness needed in the beginning of your handstand journey, Handstand 2 program is specifically for learning how to balance and gaining your first 10-second handstand. So feel free to check that out if you want. The link's in the description and up here. I also quickly want to remind you about the importance of wrist health when you are practicing handstands. A lot of people get problems with their wrists because their wrists aren't flexible, mobile, or strong enough. And doing these different kinds of wrist push-ups which I have introduced in a separate video regarding wrist health, will help you not only get healthier wrists and reduce the risk of injury, but you will also gain more strength to perform handstand corrections. So doing these is, in my opinion, very important. So that was a few tips and drills that you can use to learn how to use your fingers specifically for the purpose of not falling over your hands. Next week, however, I will upload a video about not falling the other way, about using your hand heels, as we were talking about. So you can look forward to that video, which will be linked right here when it's released. In the meantime, you can check out the wrist health video right here, or you can check out the video about what cues to prioritize in the beginning of your handstand journey right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would appreciate a like or a comment. Feel free to comment if you have suggestions to content that you want me to provide. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.